Sexy. Back to the Battle of the Bulge. Get my glasses. So we have played through now. We're getting ready to start the 21st of December. There's a few sort of roadblocks to get thrown into the game on the 20th where the Germans start suffering potential fuel shortages. And you have a chart that you roll on. Certain you get a couple modifiers, which the Germans have, and some of the die rolls will be a no effect, which the Germans did on the 20th in the morning, but in the evening they had 2 units that could only move 1 hex, and that's divisions. So Lear and I think it was 12th SS could only move 1 hex on the PM turn for the 20th. So how it worked was the Allies have 2 fuel depots on the map, and they get an opportunity to blow one up on the morning of the 18th and then the morning of the 20th. So they blew up the one in Stavelot on the 18th, taking that away from the Germans to get to. But the one back up near, I think it was in the woods up here somewhere, the Germans captured it before the Allies could blow it. So when they roll for fuel attrition, they get a -1 die roll for that. And now they have one other case where they get a -1 on the die roll. So they met the second one too. So they got -2 off their die roll for fuel attrition each turn. And here's what happened. The zone of control rule in this game, and I'm giving an example. You see these white, I had it right, I said something about the vehicles being on the roads. I went back through the rules. I still haven't looked at the errata rules, but I went back through the rules and that it did not apply, whatever I said about the vehicles. So only these banded units here, they're the ones that emit zone of controls. If they have an engaged marker on them, which is usually following combat sometimes, which I don't see any on the board right now. If you have an engaged marker on you, you have no zone of control no matter what you are, okay? So as you can see now, I'm starting to repurpose the way I put these Allied units. And let me tell you something. The Germans are... This might be about the time where things are slowing down for the Germans. Now, they got a large cache of reinforcements that came on the morning of the 20th. And they still have reinforcements to come, but not nearly in the mass that they got between the start of the game and the 20th. So pretty much the major bulk is on the board. But if you look over here the way I got my reinforcements set up, you can see the Allies are just going to start to grow and grow and grow. And maybe that plugging of holes thing will stop. All right, so let's catch up to how far the Germans. They still have not taken Bastogne. Although I got a feeling if the Americans don't get a boatload of reinforcements into Bastogne, back this up, right in here, the Germans are going to take it. They've already knocked out one, which is reversed for me. I've got the 82nd Airborne defending Bastogne because they arrived a turn before the 101st. And I asked this question to some buddies of mine. Didn't these 2 units have trucks that brought them to the front? Because unless I'm missing a rule somewhere, they don't have any markers on them saying with that asterisk that they can move. Maybe the chart. No, got to have that little asterisk saying that they have that extra road bonus. So it took them, well, they kind of got there right time. So, but 101st is over here in the gap. 82nd's got Bastogne, but as you can see, this right flank over here, left for the Germans, is just, there's nothing there. So much of nothing there that we're able to run down here, and we almost got down here to block this entry zone. You don't really call them block because you can be attacked from the zone into the map. He was 1 movement point short, and then this reinforcement came on. Now he's taking that spot. But the Germans have most of the other stuff over here occupied. But now what they got to do is they got to take these zones. Well, they got 1. Show it to you right there. So they got 1 on each side of the map right now. They got this zone here. And like I say, these things are treated like forts. So this 7 in here, he becomes a 14. And then he's getting a -2 die roll for being a fort. These Germans still own this one here. We got to get some units into position, which they're working on, to attack into the zone and take that zone, okay? And as you can see, the Germans have pretty much taken care of the right side of the map down here. There's one more entry point into that H zone, which is the little town of Herva, right here. All right, and it's being blocked right now by this unit in the fort, and then Third Armor and stuff have come on here now. But the Germans have some pretty hefty units that are trying to get in here. But you got to take your panzers and you got to push. So with trying to take zones and keep zones, at the same time, want to clear half the map. And they're not far from it. They're not far from clearing half the map. Okay, because about where this fold crease is here in the map is about 1/4 and then half. All right, so if they would clear all that, their victory conditions are going to be much strong. They're going to have a stronger possibility of attaining the victory, which, like I say, there's about 5 different victory conditions you can meet. One of them is to have, it's like a minimal victory for the Germans, is to have, I think it's 1/4 of the map cleared. It was 1/4 or half cleared, including all forts, not necessarily, but not including the zones on the side. So they can actually win something minimal by clearing everything out of the half of the map or 1/4 of the map. I'll look at that again right now. I'm not to that point yet, but now, like I say, the Allies are going to start getting major reinforcements coming in. Now, where did I boo-boo? So I was doing the best I could over here to plug these gaps, and I didn't. With the zone of control rule applying to banded units, and then the gauge markers, some German panzers were able to reach over here and they took Liege. So they're across the Meuse. Does that mean they've won? No, it does not mean they've won. But this is that other thing that adds to their fuel die roll. Now these guys are out of supply because the Americans were able to cut them off last turn, cut off their... It's 5 hexes to a roadway that leads back to your border, which would be way back there for the Germans, or way back there for the Germans. And these two units here can't do it. There was a couple in the middle that were the same way, but they've cleaned that up. And the Germans are still very, very potent. It's just getting, hopefully you don't, like, fuel attrition for the next turn. Hopefully it's not 12th SS. And they can go through here. Now, since the fuel depot, the last fuel depot was taken by the Americans, the Germans by the Germans, the Allies couldn't blow up the depot, so they got to place one blown bridge. And man, I had to struggle with this one. I didn't know where to put this. So I thought, well, this wide open sector here, probably the best to drop it right there. Could have dropped it over here on the Artha. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 locations here. You've got locations over here, 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 and here, and here. And I'm like, well, since all the reinforcements, most of them come in from the flanks, let's put one out here in the middle to keep the Germans from, because it pretty much takes 3 turns to rebuild those. And vehicle-type units cannot cross these rivers. They have to cross them at roads, at bridges, okay? So, well, there's where we stand right now. Starting the 21st turn, starting the morning of the 21st. And I would say right now the Germans they're getting the better of this right now. But we're going to see what happens as all these reinforcements for the Allies start to pour in here, just like it happened in the Bulge. All right, this is Bastogne or Bust from Terran Games. Actually, let's get this posted so it pops up for y'all to see it on the 21st. Talk to you soon.